In spite of the most progressive production techniques, castings often show porosities, making components useless for their intended function. The industries would have to bear considerable loss if they couldn't use the possibilities of impregnation. Hubert Maldonor Limited have been offering job shop impregnation with synthetic resin since 1962. Building plants and distributing synthetic resins, they have developed the technology continuously. This film demonstrates the steps of the Maldonor impregnating process, making a rejected casting workable for the application intended. The sectional view of a component shows what happens inside the porosity as well as inside the boreholes. There are three types of porosity. Through porosity, going right through the casting. This is illustrated in a red colour. Blind porosity, if not impregnated, can lead to internal corrosion and spotting out if plated, coloured red too. In closed porosity, this is not a problem unless uncovered by machining operations. This is not coloured because it has no entry and cannot be filled with resin. The charging basket charged with dry, oil-free components, having regard to their shape and grade of mechanical treatment, is deposited in the impregnating tank. By applying a vacuum of under 10 millibar inside the autoclave, the air trapped in the open porosities is withdrawn. After the dry vacuum cycle, the flood valve opens and the resin flows into the autoclave until the components are covered completely. The vacuum pump keeps on working in order to maintain the high vacuum. As no atmospheric pressure is hindering, open porosities get filled with resin when it flows into the autoclave and covers the components. Moreover, by capillary force, the resin is drawn into the pores. After the wet vacuum cycle, the atmospheric pressure inside the autoclave is restored. Owing to the difference in pressure between the vacuum inside the porosity and the atmospheric pressure inside the autoclave, the open porosity gets filled completely. After the pressureless phase, resin is drawn back by vacuum into the storage tank. The charging basket is lifted out and then conveyed to the drain station. By turning the basket, components get drained. A centrifuge helps to economize consumption of resin up to 30% if complicated castings have to be impregnated. Resin drained off flows back into the storage tank. As the resin emulsifies in water, it can be washed off with water easily. Blind holes are rinsed only if water flows in when the basket is immersed and flows out when the basket is lifted. Therefore, the basket has to be turned round 90 degrees after some lifts. Vertical blind holes now turn into a horizontal position and resin can be rinsed off. Due to the capillary force, the resin adheres in fine and medium porosities. By turning the basket above the wash tank, adhering wash water drains off to the tank. In order to obtain a clean surface, the remaining wash water has to be rinsed off. The basket has to be immersed into the clear water in the rinsing tank from a minimum 2 sides. For curing the resin inside the porosities, the basket with components is deposited in the hot water curing tank. It remains there at 90 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes. During polymerization, the resin turns into a solid homogeneous material, taking the porosity shape and adhering irremovably in the porosity. After polymerization, components are finished and can be leak tested or be assembled directly. Components with blind holes should be dried by vacuum. This is to prevent corrosion caused by moisture. The cycle through the impregnating process is finished. It makes no difference whether you run your own impregnating unit or use the services of our job shops. Profit from our expertise. Your state? Porosity? No problem.